You're tuning in to Past Our Prime, a show powered by Squad Locker.
Let's be great. Let's be great.
Here are your hosts, retired Astros minor league star Tip Fairchild and former Patriots All-Pro center Dan Copen.
Go rock this thing, huh?
All right, here we go. We're on 76.
Back in the lab.
Episode 76 brought to you always. Do you want? That's Tip.
Yeah.
I'm Dan. Do you like that?
I still like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's Tip. I'm Dan. Brought to you, as always, by Squad Locker, your one-stop shop for all your custom apparel needs.
There's some big. This is when it really starts to heat up around these parts. The schools are coming back in a month, so they're all starting to think about it. Everybody gets past the July 4th time, and they go, "Oh, I got to start thinking about this again." All the fall sports are starting up, right, for travel. Right now, I'm in the middle of bomber season. Softball.
Oh, man.
A lot of games this past weekend. Lost in the championship this weekend. Runners up. We'll get a runner-up trophy. First thing Rana said to me.
How old is she? 8?
8U.
Is second place okay still?
That's what I was going to say. No, second place is good. It was a good game, good tournament. They got to the championship, which was good. But it was her question to me when she got the trophy. We get into the car. She said, "Why did we get a trophy if we came in second?"
Well, that's a good attitude. I liked
that question.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Like, a lot of times the runner-up will get a trophy is what I told her. And I said, I don't like it. You know, third place in like the Olympics is a bronze medal.
To get a medal, yeah.
You get into fourth, though.
You get nothing.
No. And then it was funny, though. I had during one of my coaching runs that I was on, like after I was done playing, I'd coached a couple travel teams, select teams and stuff. I didn't really take the losing too well. We got killed in one tournament. We're like 8th place. This wasn't a good... I wouldn't do this again, but I did it. I was probably 26 years old, 27, somewhere maybe 28, coaching like a good team. And I put this post up that said, you know, Rain asked why they get a trophy for second place. And one of the kids that was on this team was now a 26-year-old man who's in private investment banking in New York City. Messaged me back and he goes, "So you didn't throw that one in the woods?" And I was like, Takes me back to a story. When I was coaching these guys, they got a trophy for like 8th place. And like, you know, you bring the team out to the corner. And I was like, this person came up and was like, we went 0-6, like in the tournament. Like last place, got killed every game. They were like, hey, you guys get this like trophy, for, you know. I took it, I looked at it, I was like, for what? For like not winning a game, for being in 8th place? I took it, I chucked it over the fence into the woods.
Honestly, I think it was coaching at that point. I think the kids probably were great.
It could have been.
I think the coaching just probably sucked.
It could have been. I just launched it into the woods though, and I was like, yeah, that felt good.
Oh,
you know, and then like every time I think about it though, I'm like, I wonder if that was a good move for those like young men to see, you know. And that was the first comment on the thing on the post though. I was like, he remembers that, so that's either good or bad.
Well, I mean, hopefully successful. Maybe it was.
By
a
the
good
way,
thing.
investment banker in New York City.
Was it just one trophy that you got to keep, or did every kid get one?
No, they didn't all get one. It was
imagine you going through the line and grabbing every trophy and just chucking them.
Launch them.
Kids are crying.
They were 16, by the way. They were a little bit older. They should know that they shouldn't get an 8th place trophy.
I have no problem with that.
Okay,
I think that's a good move.
Fine.
How old were the kids? How old were they?
They were 16 when I did that.
Yeah. No, you're there to compete.
That's right.
You
We're
wouldn't do
competing.
good. Yeah. 8th place,
I do agree.
Not good.
Like I do think, and this is professional sports are like this too. There's a runner-up trophy a lot of times.
Yeah, it's awful.
Right?
It's awful.
You're going to runner-up rings.
We have
right?
Runner-up rings, and they just
it doesn't
disgust
feel
me
good.
every time I look at
it. It doesn't feel good, but you get one, right? And then I think Olympics, and I think of bronze, silver, gold, right?
I always think of the Colts, the AFC finalists.
Oh yeah, that flag.
That's a bad flag.
That's a bad look for a professional organization. They probably took it down by now.
Yeah, I assume. So I am in the camp of being okay if it's a runner-up or a third place situation. If it's head-to-head competition, there should not be a third place.
There's a line, right?
Yeah.
8 years old, you probably can give the 8th place team a trophy.
I don't know about that.
8 years old, you're just out there having fun. And I know it's the Bombers. Hey, I get it. You're in.
We're competing.
I get it. It's the Bombers. But if you're talking, there's a switch. So maybe 13, 14.
Okay.
Guys,
is that when it happens?
Coaches care, right?
And you start dropping
I try
it
and
down.
tell my son this.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, like your teammates probably care a lot about winning. So it's not necessarily about you and like, hey, go out there and have fun. Yes, I want you to have fun.
No, you're on a team to win.
But there's a point where, hey, it's about winning. Yes, you want to have fun. But I don't know how to explain that in a good way to them. You know, like, hey, go out. Like, all I care is you go out there and you try hard, and you give it your best, win or lose. I don't care if you play good. I don't care if you lose. Doesn't matter. But if you're working hard and you're showing that to your teammates, that's okay.
It's the Friday Night Lights movie scene where he's like, as long as you need to be able to look to your friend to your side. It's not about winning and losing. It's looking your friend in the eye and let him know you tried your best.
I did everything I could.
Right?
I gave everything I got,
true.
and hey, we still didn't win. Okay, no problem.
What I do love about these softball tournaments right now is there's, 10 teams in them, 12 teams in them, 20 teams in them. Squad Locker, we're doing like half of these teams apparel. Like, we're out there. It's fun. I'm like, oh, I know that. I know that group. Like, that's definitely our decoration. So that's cool. Also, there was one of the worst calls I've ever seen in a game.
Oh, now here we go. Now this is where it starts. Welcome to my world.
No.
Welcome to my world.
No. And it was for us, and it probably wouldn't have affected the total outcome of the game.
So it wasn't that bad. You're like, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it was a play at the plate, and the girl was safe by close to a mile, like truly a mile, and the umpire was like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And we were in the field, so we were the one that got the advantage of getting that out. Coach on the other team lost it, and it was funny because I could tell that the guy didn't want to lose it, but it just was. It was like one of these things that you just almost had to argue. And he went up and he just goes down. He's like, I understand that this is 8U.
Yeah.
But I can't fathom a worse call in the history of sports. The umpire threw him out.
No, he did?
Oh, yeah. I threw him out.
I'm going to apologize beforehand.
Yeah.
But that was...
He was like, I understand. He wasn't even really being that obnoxiously bad. But, like, there's this rule, too, where you have to be the head coach to be the one that says anything to the umpires. I was just like in one of these places where I'm like, oh man, I almost want to just say something like, you should just call her out, or call her safe. Like, seriously. I'm in the middle of that.
You're not going to get a reverse. All right,
I will tell you this though, I don't say a peep during the games.
You shouldn't, and that's
say a peep.
That's what I've gone to.
I cheer as much for our team as for the other team. Like, I cheer for plays.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody makes a good play, I'm like, oh, wow, great play.
1,000%. Yeah. Especially at that age. You want to see some resemblance of baseball or softball.
It's actually remarkable. You'd be surprised at how many plays and outs they make.
You know what? I do the same thing. Hey, good pass, good shot, good save. Whatever sport they're playing, good catch, doesn't really matter. What drives me nuts is when the other parents don't do that. They're the bad sports.
It's so bad.
That's the problem,
it's so
too.
Bad. It happens all over the place. I'm not as much on our team, but you just see it and you hear it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's tough.
Infuriating. Like, I want to go over there, and now I don't condone, but I can understand how some of those fights start in the stands.
Oh my God.
Because there's probably one obnoxious parent that's just a complete...
Nobody understands it more than me right now. Nobody understands it more than me right now. I am in the middle of it where I'm like, wow, I can actually see where as this progresses, the intensity overall rises, and it creates a bubbling effect, right? We're at 8U. What is 14U look like? Yeah. And all of a sudden now
just increases,
right? It just can, and you're there. What are you doing? 13 right now? 13? Well, you go by
birth
year. So is it 13-year-olds?
Yeah.
Yep. So, like, you're starting to get into where it's getting, like, people are starting to be like, well, this coach is here to see my kid and blah, 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 and all that, right?
Possible, I guess. That's possible.
Yeah. See,
they're 13 years old. They're still learning to play the game and getting the skills. And, everybody is on different development paths. Or,
some kids are
can grow skills, hand-eye coordination, like that kids, that comes, and you've seen it through baseball. I've seen it through football, and hey, these guys are really good at 7th grade. Yeah, maybe sophomore year. Maybe sophomore year. It's like, everybody sort of levels out at some age in those high school years, and that's just where you are, and you just deal with it. So,
speaking of leveling out,
we have Patrick Werksma, chief operating officer from a company called Playbooked coming on.
We want to talk about we want to talk about NIL, name, image, likeness, in NCAA athletes because it's a massive topic. Has been for a long time. NCAA has made their money, and now the kids are making some money. And this guy knows a ton about it,
Yes.
so this will be helpful. But speaking of leveling out, though, we did just weigh in, and the tables have turned.
Ooh, it's been a bad weekend, Max.
I know the feeling.
Dan's back over the top.
By the
old
way,
big cat.
so we're just
catching up
first.
now.
We should have said this earlier. Congratulations to Max. He's now a married man. I can't believe Tip forgot that.
No, so we're coming into it. It's definitely a bullet.
This is where
This is the wedding episode. What do they call that? It was an episode of something, right? Like the red wedding or the white wedding or something.
You know
like,
what episode?
I never
Game
saw
of
it, though.
Thrones. Come
Yeah,
on.
there we go. So this is that episode. For
The,
us.
I hope not.
I don't know what happened.
it
but-
started Friday night at Max's wedding.
Yes.
And it did not stop for a few days. So that I
yeah.
think I'm just carrying a lot of water weight or beer weight
Yeah, it's
or a
beer
lot of
weight.
salt intake.
Salt. It's all of those.
Friday night we went to
Max's wedding was beautiful. Beautiful wedding. Great
Awesome.
night. You got a great night.
Awesome night.
You got sunny, nice. Wasn't too hot. We were worried about sweat.
It was hot.
Dan and I were very worried about sweat. It was hot, but not. There was a nice breeze. So like when we were outside, I was not sweating through when we were outside.
Inside I was sweating.
Inside, I started to sweat.
Same.
I started to perspirate. Mm-hmm. You were soaked.
I went through 3 shirts.
Because you were heavy dancing. You were on that dance floor just bouncing up and down and going crazy.
I would have brought 3 shirts if I had 3 shirts that fit me. That would have been great.
Damn, I went out and bought a new shirt.
Yeah, you did.
And it worked well. We had a great time. It was fun. How do you feel?
A little hungover. No
Still?
different.
Still or
Still, yeah.
Just you feel heavy. You feel a little.
I can't think straight. You know, like when you had that COVID fog.
Oh yeah,
That's what I have. A hangover fog.
yeah. I hear
So
you.
takes a little bit to get back.
yeah, we're
Long weekend. Did the parties continue through Saturday and Sunday?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and
if
you
I-
had people in town. You had your friends from Germany were there.
Yep.
At your so you've had people in town for a while now. It's heavy. It weighs on you. Like all of a sudden, it's like when everybody finally goes and it's finally over. It's kind of like.
Yep.
But at the same time, you're like, geez, did
Still have like the ringing in my ear.
did I talk to this person? Did I make sure that I saw them? Did I do this? There's a
Saturday
lot of
morning
that.
was a lot of oops. I didn't go call that guy. Gotta go. Didn't talk to him.
Yeah,
didn't
there
talk
you
to
go.
her. Yep.
Yep. That's how it works.
It's a long night. It's exhausting.
I think you guys talked to a couple people that might know you.
We did. We
Somebody recognized Dan,
did.
right?
So
that?
Dan and I were sitting in the front row of the wedding. So we appreciate you putting us front row outside. We were down in the corner
was like
a little
se- it
bit.
was-
I did put up a funny post that said we were in the cheap seats.
It was
but
like Southwest. It was seat. Grab your own seat.
your own
First
seat.
come, first serve.
Dan and I waited too long, so we got pressed towards the literal front row.
But however,
of the wedding.
there was shade. So that
There was shade. Nice breeze and shade where we were at. But we stand up, Dan and I stand up after the wedding. And, by the way, 10-minute, 11-second ceremony.
10 minutes and 18 seconds. I
18
still have it. I
seconds.
still have it on the
10
stopwatch.
minutes and 18 seconds. You said the under was 18 minutes. We were beside ourselves in joy.
I don't know what my bookie was doing with the 18.5.
Yeah,
that was high.
That was way high.
He was
Wow, I mean-
expecting readings, I think.
You guys rolled through it. You had the dogs out there. That was cool.
Yep.
Rolled through it. Bang, bang, bang. 10 minutes.
Let's
we
get
were
the cocktail out.
getting the cocktail hour fired up, which was great.
Yep.
So we
well
stand
done.
up.
Well done.
Dan and I stand
The
up.
bride looked beautiful. Congratulations.
Yes,
Thank you.
congratulations. Our wives were behind us because they came in a car right after us. They didn't want to disturb anything, so they kind of stood over on the side. So Dan and I are together at the wedding as plus ones for each other. Stand up, turn around, lovely old couple behind us. We both stand up, these two big men, look at Dan, and they go, wait a minute, aren't you Matt Light?
Yeah. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Oh, that was great.
That happens a
Oh,
lot.
I loved that. That made my
I'm
that
so
made
glad.
my hour.
I'm so glad you were there to hear that.
Oh, that was good.
And it happens not as often as it did, but it for a while. I don't know, just redhead, big
So-
guy,
that was
beard or something like
What's
that.
the next part of the conversation that
Oh,
happens?
No, it's like now it's like obviously you're at a wedding and I can't be just ignore them and
it like a,
walk
"Oh, good
away.
guess"?
Now it's like, yeah, I get that a lot. Yeah, my name's Dan. Thankfully, he did say my last name.
He did say the last
I didn't
name
have to say
after.
my last name. I just said,
Yeah.
no, I'm not mad. My name's Dan.
I
And
would
we went
actually
from
go.
there.
I was number 67, not number 72.
I don't know.
Right?
Because
Because people, I think, just view the line. is all the same guy.
Look,
and then they say the easiest name.
I'm not even like the worst one that we had, and it was me and my wife, and it was Matt and his wife. We are in the airport. We're going to the Bahamas. It's the off season. We're going to the Bahamas. They get through security. No, this guy's through. We're just coming up to the thing, the X-ray machine.
The security checkpoint.
X-ray machine. He's next to the machine going through, and then you're going to go through, not the X-ray, but then you can walk through the thing where it's metal and all that
Metal
stuff.
detector.
All right, so we're there. There's a guy that just got through, and he's looking back trying to get his bag, looking through Matt Light.
Matt Light is beside him.
Matt Light is in between me and this guy. He's looking directly through Matt Light and yelling to me, "Hey, Matt, Matt Light." I'm like, oh my God. At that point, I was just like, "Hey, how's it going?" Didn't even say a word. And then from that point on, it was just like, okay, this is just going to happen a lot.
Yeah, that did make me chuckle a little bit, but it was a great time, Max. We appreciate that invite. We had a good overall night, fun time. What else do we have? We have a couple things. So Patrick will be on here in a minute. Do you watch Home Run Derby?
I watched it for about 20 seconds last night.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. It was awful.
I watched a lot of it because Raina was watching it for a while with me, and I was like, come on, this is how we elevate the ball. This is what you need to watch right here. Like, this is how we stop hitting chop balls.
All right.
So
you
anyway,
need to relax.
No, I'm just saying. She watches. She learns by watching.
Relax.
So it was nice to have her watch it. She loved it. So I hate this format though.
It's awful.
3 minutes. As many as you can. It used to be outs. Remember, like,
is that how they do the whole thing? And it's brackets, right?
Brackets.
Okay, so
3
that's
minutes.
how they do it.
3 minutes.
I didn't know if they switch it up in the semis or the finals.
Well, the finals is 2 minutes because these guys are gassed.
They got to be gassed. Yeah.
It's not how it used to be back in the day with Griffey, and just the names. It's just funny how I recognize all the names just because I still am a baseball fan. But it's like, man, the star power is not there like it used to be. Back in the day, Griffey, you'd have like Bonds. Like, I mean, that was amazing.
I watched baseball back then.
Yeah, now you don't watch it.
I don't
now you don't
watch baseball,
much.
And it's not that the name. I mean, like some of those, like Alfonso or whatever, they can bomb. They're great athletes.
Yeah.
It is just boring to watch. Boring. Not taking anything away from them.
Fun. But I don't like this format.
I would rather go out with a wiffle ball bat in the backyard than watch those guys hit balls for 3 hours on TV.
Yeah, it's a long time. It takes a long time.
Awful.
They needed to do the 10 out thing.
I don't know how the announcers get through that.
Well, it used to be Chris Berman. Back.
Yeah.
It's not doing it anymore.
No.
Yeah, that's how it works.
They need to figure that out.
Okay, so you won't watch the All-Star game then?
God, no.
And then there's what do they call it? The dark day of sports. It's always the ESPYs is always it. It's the only day that there's no major sporting event going on.
Yeah.
Baseball, football, basketball, hockey.
Oh, because there's no all.
What's the day? Tuesday, Wednesday.
It's the All-Star break. So
it's All-Star break. So they have the 3 days off, and then the All-Star game is on Tuesday. But Wednesday is an off day for baseball.
I guarantee you, there's a soccer game because they always play. They never not play.
Fortunately, it's not one of the majors.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm not. It's not me saying that, but the four big sports. Four big American sports.
Gotcha.
That's right. So there's no sports on Wednesday. So there's nothing to do. That's why they put the ESPYs there. Okay.
You gonna watch that?
It looks like Patrick is on. So should we bring him in, Max?
Yeah, let's.
I do want to talk live golf a little bit. We'll cover that though. Maybe with him.
All right.
We can ask his opinion on it. This is a good thing.
He golfs.
Yeah, and it's also like a game-changing thing, just like NIL.
Patrick Werksmith joins us from Playbooked. He is the chief operating officer of a cool NIL platform. Is that how you describe it, Patrick?
Yeah, pretty simple enough. Yeah, summed it up for me.
Now, tell us what NIL is.
I still want to. I want to go right from the ground
because people go nil.
I want to go.
Like,
I want to go right
zero?
from the ground because it's so new, and I think people are trying to figure it out still.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You have been involved in developing this company, and now it's actually legal in a sense. So,
yeah.
Give us the down and dirty.
So yeah, for everyone that that'll be listening to this, name NIL is the term for name, image, and likeness. Yeah,
likeness.
Name, image, and likeness, which became legal across, all leagues last year, July 1st for the NCAA and in October 2020 for the NAIA. We were an early adapter in the space to where, we just wanted to get started and find out, remain light and agile and find out ways we could connect college athletes to branded opportunities. Like my partner and I had both been in college athletics and, both left broken and penniless and wanted to see how we could, kind of give, help set up a better platform out there for these athletes. So, we created a marketplace that can seamlessly connect fans, brands, and businesses to these athletes. And then we became software as a service as we saw this market start to change and drift into what's now called collectives, which are these groups that are basically third-party organizations that have the blessing from the university. And the whole purpose of this organization is to focus on that college and help those athletes there set up NIL activations. We built an entire company for just that. So we figured, why not help these collectives and give them an operating tool to where they can better, assist their university and keep them competitive in this changing space and give them a tool that can manage it, which will then in return helps us take our brand money with clients who we work with like crypto.com and Fabletics and now ZipRecruiter, and the list goes on. And we can now easily spend their money on these athletes in partnership with these collectives who's using our technology. So, I mean, I can talk about this landscape, forever. So feel free if there's any questions you want to talk about.
Everything you just said was so illegal not long ago, right? And like
so
that's
illegal.
We've also what I was just thinking when we were talking about this. There's a few things that have happened in the last 5 years, 10 years, right, that have been so illegal that are now so big and legal that people are like building massive empire businesses. You've got go back even to medicinal use of like marijuana, massive industry now, so illegal, not long ago,
Still illegal.
well, but legal in a lot of areas now, right? Gambling,
Yes.
gambling,
Yeah.
so illegal, not long ago,
Right.
legal like in a lot of states, right on my app. I don't, you don't need to go meet a bookie
Correct.
somewhere, right? Paying athletes in college, so illegal, and now it's
Right.
you're trying to figure out how to like make that happen, right? Like so, there's all these things that were like just you did not think that this could ever be an industry, and now it's like this is a massive industry now, right?
Well,
and you were right on the beginning of it.
Yeah, and you brought it up. One of my next calls I have today is with an agency. I have a partnership with, and they represent a lot of the online marketing spend for the gambling platforms like DraftKings and Maximum Bets, and the big no-nos, especially in college athletics, were stay away from anything drug-related, alcohol-related, gambling-related.
Yeah.
Gambling has actually been kind of plucked out of that prohibited section for it's kind of a state-by-state thing. Not saying that these athletes can start betting on games that they're playing in, but they're not withholding them from actually making money to promote a platform. I mean, so we're having conversations with these companies. We're like, all right, we're going to run these whole nationwide campaigns where the athletes will be like, I can't bet on this stuff, but y'all can. And this is who we say to you.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's smart. And it's wild how those two things are intertwined now. College sports and gambling is going to be basically in bed together here. And that was, I mean, it's 30 for 30s about how this ruined lives, right?
Right.
And where it was like, you got one person that was connected, involved with like one kind of like small college basketball team, and you can
Boston College.
I said that on purpose because that's where Dan went, and all of a sudden it destroys all credibility in like the space. It's wild, and now it's like, hey, you're gonna have people actually marking that and getting paid to say it, right?
Right. Exactly. And our take on all this thing is like, hey, let these guys get paid. And right now, guys and gals get paid. There's not a lot of regulations right now, and everyone uses the term wild, wild west over and over again. I mean, they're really beating that term to death. And what we're trying to build really is what we offer is kind of a westward expansion. We're coming with the railroads, and we're bringing the train cars full of ice behind us.
Yeah, sticking the stake in the ground like in what's that movie with Tom Cruise? The horse rolls on him.
Oh,
Far and Away.
Far and Away.
Far and Away.
Yeah, great movie.
Far and away.
Yeah, and like I was always like, why are they going to why don't they just stop right there and pop a stake in? They're like running all over the land. Just like, I'll take this land right here. Great movie.
Fantastic movie. I'll probably go home and watch that tonight. Honestly, that was great. But yeah, we want to, even though there's not a lot of regulations right now, there's gonna be regulations. I mean, we've had conversations with the people running, the commissioners of the conferences. There's obviously, when this whole thing came in, the NCAA kind of had to throw their hands up and be like, all right, it's legal. Just you figure it out on your own, conference or state, whichever one comes first. But there's going to be after time when there's going to have to, someone higher up is going to have to step in, whether it be the federal government, whether it be per conference. And we kind of want to operate in the way we operate is as if those regulations are already kind of being formed. We're just trying to give something that makes everyone that feels nervous about all this, like, here's a tool that's going to help you calm down. Here's your, this is kind of your Xanax. Yeah. We can manage the entire system for this. Everybody thought as soon as like this came legal, there's a lot of the naysayers were throwing their hands up being like, oh, it's going to be madness. These athletes are going to be all over the place. Well, we did see some distraction, but I don't know if anyone, I know Dan, I know, you're a premier athlete all the way through the pros.
Thank you, Patrick.
When you got into college, didn't they? Yeah. I'm sorry.
No slouch, Patrick. I'm no slouch myself, but yes, it's fine. Yeah.
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 Sorry, Tip.
It's fine. I understand it was all minor league experience, but it's fine.
Dan,
keep going.
Dan, and my phone calls with Dan is he only gloats about his background, not about yours.
Okay, I got it.
There you go.
Yeah. So we, we're, as soon as you arrived at college every year, didn't your compliance department meet with, damn, man, I know you're older, so you guys probably weren't all over social media.
Yeah. Yes, there we go.
Absolutely. $25. We had a compliance meeting. Absolutely.
Yeah. Nowadays it still happens. Everyone arrives back at school and they're taught how to act, how to represent the university, how to represent the team. Take those rules and extend that to what's happening in name, image, and likeness. I'll tell you what, these athletes have had over a year of this now, and most of them are not out here. Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yes. We'll beep it and we'll put in $25 for you.
All right, that sounds good. They're not out here making of themselves for the most part.
That's a $10 word. That's a $10 word. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So they know not to make a fool of their university. They know not to make a fool of their team. There's been, I believe I don't want to name the specific athletes, but I know there was 2 quarterbacks on 2 premier teams across the league last year whose parents basically said, stop doing anything in NIL. It's becoming a distraction. And it can be if you don't know how to manage your time. Yeah. But the whole thing behind our platform, honestly, is we built a platform for the 99% of athletes that'll never see a professional contract. And our whole business model, what we built our numbers on, our projections, is around any given athlete being able to earn $300 in passive income per month. Where we have worked with some athletes that have since September of last year that have made $25,000, $40,000 working with us. Mm-hmm. We think it's going to be, we're going to 3X that this coming year with some athletes. But honestly, our platform was built I don't know about you guys, but in college, I got a bit of a stipend and I used that to create, buy a keg and flip that into some cups.
I wanted a stipend. We had
rules are wild on this that you can't work. You couldn't have jobs and you couldn't do things. That's crazy that was even part of it.
When I went to school, whatever, I was like, I think my parents ended up giving me $250 a month. $250. Yeah. I usually ended up at, hey, I went a little bit over. Can I have some more money in my account or whatever? And they always did. But if you could go off of that stipend or whatever, the recruiting now, yes, it's a tool for recruiting. And how is that going to change the game? I don't know. We're gonna find out, but there's a lot of thoughts going through the head now. But major conferences, let's go Texas A&M, let's go Texas, let's go Alabama or whatever. it's kind of like an even type of a recruiting thing too, because you take a look at Boston College, they're going to get their guys.
Yeah,
right.
They're going for a specific guy. It may not be the same guy that's going to Alabama or Texas. Yeah, they'll make a splash and get one of those guys every now and then, but it's still the same schools competing for those recruits. You think, right?
Right.
That's right.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and then Dan, when you arrived at Boston College, like, what was your tour? What was your experience like? Did they show you? Probably showed you where you're going to live. They showed you the locker room. They showed you the stadium.
And then we went to the bar.
And then you went to the bar.
Yes.
All right. Well, as people are saying, right now, I mean, we're already hearing it. My partner's son is going to be on one of the top basketball programs in the nation, and one of the things athletes are looking at, like, what's your NIL program look like? How many collectives do you have? How much money is going through that? Like, it's not going to be one of the things is, and we've run across some bad actors in the space where people are just one thing you want to stay away from is pay for play right now. That's still a huge no-no. There's got to be the two things we try to help do is fair market value for these athletes, and we help determine what that is. We were early enough into the space where we kind of help set that value. And the other thing is equal money for equal services or equal goods. So you want to flirt with those and not get too far out of that, because like I say, these regulations are coming. You can't be like, oh yeah, you know what, you come here, we're going to cut you a check for $150,000. Just make sure you tweet every once in a while. There's got to be something in place, and we're helping put those things in place. But what's the biggest thing now is when an athlete arrives on campus, I think the biggest thing is going to be like, hey, go talk to this guy who's currently a starter on our basketball team, or this lady who's a starter on our volleyball team, and let them talk to you about how much they've done, how much, what they earned last year while using our university's collective.
Yeah, and maybe how much time that took away from them, which might be none, right? Or it might be, hey, yeah, I had to do these two things. I had to do 2 things a month, and this is what it was, and this is how much time it took away from me being able to study and being able to work out and being able to be at the gym or whatever else. And I got X amount of dollars for that. And like you said, you're trying to get them $3-5 grand a year, $3 to $10 grand a year. Like, you're not trying to get them massive paychecks on this. You're trying to help out.
Think about going to college and having $1,000 a month now.
No, I know, totally different.
You know what I mean? That is completely different.
Yeah. Also, think about this. You and I talk about this all the time. We both have young kids, right? So imagine getting $250 and stretching it the whole month now.
Oh God. Yeah. No.
That stretches like the morning, the first month, the first day of the month. That's like the morning.
Inflation's a there's a $25 one probably.
I think I sold my books just so I could go down to Panama and camp in a campsite and eat Wendy's for a week. I lived off the dollar menu.
It should be a movie.
Dude, you guys want to do a pod? You guys want to do you can do a whole podcast on my 2 tours in Panama. I'll tell you that much. I hope that doesn't. It's Panama City Beach, and I hope that doesn't offend any veteran listeners of yours.
It's strictly a personal tour.
Yeah,
strictly a personal tour on Panama City Beach.
You look like you probably fared well in the sun out there. How was the skin in that sun? Did you burn up?
Oh man, my Dutch skin. At one point, we were riding in the back of all the guys would come down from Tennessee in their jacked up trucks with their diesel tanks on the back. And at one point I was getting a ride to what we called Christ cakes. I believe it was the Baptists would come down and they'd set up these taxi services and these big pancake breakfasts for all the drunks they could eat and give a chance to sit down and talk to you about God and everything. And one day as I'm riding,
you needed free food. Yeah. You wanted free food.
Free food. Like I said, I sold my books to get down there. We lost our tent on the first day and lived in a Subaru.
Very, very roomy.
Yeah. And at one point, I'm in the back of this truck, and my buddy just sees me open this thing of chapstick. He goes, "What are you doing?" I just removed my bandana and started putting the chapstick in my forehead because I was so burnt.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, you see the sun must take to you very well.
At least I got, like I said, I'm Werksma, I'm mainly Dutch, but I got some Hungarian in here, so I can get some color. Unlike my brother, he goes near the sun and he's just not, all he is a sweat mark on the pavement.
So if you took an athlete in the past, right? And we can still talk about the future ones, but you took an athlete in the past, say the last 20 years, NCAA sports, like, and you were like, wow, if I had this person for NIL, this is the person. Like, we could do a lot with them. Who is
Reggie Bush, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, Reggie. I
made a lot of money in college.
I mean,
too.
he still did all right. He did fine.
He did fine. Yeah. Reggie Bush, and I've thought about this question a bit. I mean, Reggie Bush, and I sit there and I'm like, obviously I love like people like Barry Sanders. I mean, I know he's way more than 20 years. Yeah. Like Barry Sanders back when he was at Oklahoma State. A lot of these guys, very great, fantastic football player. I don't know what his personality would have been, but all I know is like from where we are right now, the best performers on our platform are actually mainly women athletes. Yeah, people are clamoring down
the followings with like the large social followings and stuff.
Not even. I mean, we've got, like I say, we've got ones with even smaller followings of like 5,000 to 10,000 that are doing extremely well, because the biggest thing was the way we create it. As long as you're attentive and can follow directions, like we have opportunities for you. But I think about it, go back to these, people like Mike Vick, Reggie Bush, anyone with these bright personalities, anyone who had a lot to say, like, especially in today's era, if they would have like grown up with social media and, followed the compliance and know how to act, oh man, those guys would have cashed in.
What about
I'm sure, like, yeah.
We're gonna have to cut this down. Well, I think Moss probably would have been good back then.
Oh yeah, he would have been a good one. At Marshall, I would take the Fab Five.
Oh,
give me all.
Oh yeah,
great.
Give me all of them.
That would have been.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, they were already making it anyway. But there was, I mean, just like I'm thinking like basketball tournament more than anything. And like you look at the big college football scene too, and it's like obvious, like you look at like Johnny Football, right? Like stuff like that. But
Peyton would have cashed in.
Peyton
right? Would have cashed in.
People on those lines. But then the way I see it is like the college basketball tournament is long, and like there's tons of marketing opportunity there where like they could be spokesperson for Wendy's and Buick and everything else. It's like, and it's so long. It's 6 weeks, right? It's like a long time where they're center stage. Where if you're a top basketball player at a top program, or you have multiple, like the Fab Five, it's like you just stick those guys in every commercial that you can, in every single way that you could do it.
Absolutely. I'll have to add Marshawn Lynch to my list, by the way. I think I really, we work with Beast Mode to work with one of the collectives, the UC Berkeley collective. And I just, ever since that guy's career, I mean, his cameos from Westworld to Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I mean, if you go to that hasn't launched yet, but when you even go to look at the Cal Collective website, we even built into the logo, which is a paw with the actual image of the silhouette of the image of when Marshawn was whipping around in that golf cart. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I do have one more that would probably take the cake. Actually, now I think about it. Like take the cake.
I'm trying to think away from football too.
I know, but you got to stay on this one. Tim Tebow.
Oh yeah,
that would have been the most wholesome commercials, and like every single like company that wanted to do good, like would have been all over him. Like during that time, and then he did the chomp, and he was a bad boy. Remember, he did the chomp on.
Is that a bad boy?
Oh yeah.
Well, they were like, "Oh, Tim Tebow did the chomp."
It's just ridiculous.
Speaking of Tebow, we just talking with. He has a company in this whole NIL space called Campus Legends. Now it's just called Campus. They're a pretty sweet platform for generating NFTs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is all.
Yeah,
that's another new thing. Jesus Christ,
we need an NFT guy on because I have no clue what we're talking about. That
I just drew this. I got the guy for
you. Here
you go. So, going back, so it's collectives. Was it always going to be collectives? Never pay for play. So are they getting paid through the university, through what you guys do, and like prorate it? Here's what you got. What
as of right. So one of the things we do is we help set up those activations. And right now, as of right now, like I say, there's very little regulations. And for what the regulations there are, people are like, well, who's enforcing these? No university necessarily wants to crack down on a single athlete, because in this new era, that one might let them look bad and unfavorable. But look what happened this year in the draft class when with Texas A&M. I mean, they're very vocal about how they got their athletes to the university. And one of the biggest things is we see in all of this is a lot of the reporting is just there's not a lot of diligence and a lot of the reporting and a lot of these deals that are being tossed around. They're like, oh, this guy's getting millions of dollars. I can almost tell you there's not been a single transaction to where one athlete's received over a 7-figure deal. We're talking to all the main people in the space, and some guys come, like, if they hear this, an email, tell me I'm wrong, show me a bank account. But a lot of people are doing if it bleeds, it leads reporting, like, oh, let's throw up this number. And all that's really doing is causing confusion. But the biggest thing right now is the university itself is not actually supposed to be involved in the money-making opportunities for these athletes, which may change. There's a bill on the table that allows that. There's a bill on the table, I think, in California right now that would allow the television rights to be split up amongst the athletes. A lot of this stuff you will never get past. A lot of the stuff you never hear from. But the whole point of the collective is like, this is now what boosters who used to operate in the dark can now operate in the light. Like you've got the blessing from the university. Like kind of the formula for a collective is wealthy alumni, wealthy boosters kind of usually get a famous alumni on board and pair them together and make it's when we're helping structure these things as non-shareholding corporations. It's like a 501c3 where everyone's working in them to not make money, but really just help the athletes. But they're also not getting 501c3 status. There's a lot of people that think you're going to hear in every which way that so many people are like, oh yeah, we're going to just set up charitable activations I grew up around nonprofits. My mother was a bigwig for United Way. People think like, oh yeah, we're just going to have, we got $100,000 earmarked for this athlete. We're going to have them show up to this charitable event and speak, and we're going to pay them $100,000 for that. The IRS really exists kind of to shut that down. Like just because you have a 501c3 and it's a charitable event doesn't mean you can just start funneling whatever money you want to these people. I think a lot of people that are kind of working in the space are for a rude awakening if they think that now just because NIL is legal, all these people who have just been writing checks blindly in the past to help keep their university competitive, as illegal as it may have been, they're not going to necessarily find out that, hey, it's legal now. I can now get tax write-offs. So we're trying to stick things to the letter of the law as much as we can to make sure that everyone stays compliant.
So we got collectives, probably booster, and then if a company, let's say Ford, comes in, can they pay the athlete directly? Is it two different things?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking more sneaker. Like you see these big high school basketball players like Zion Williamson. Like Nike would have locked him up when he was a senior in high school, rather than after he went to Duke for a year, or like stuff like that. They would here's your $10 million.
But you go down to Texas A&M. Hey, I got or with the BYU one, there was a company that said,
they gave
everybody a scholarship or something like that. That's the company going out and doing it. It's not coming through the collective.
That's right. No, that was
the collective.
The company saying, hey, we're going to cover everybody's remainder of all their scholarship.
Theoretically, if they're big enough or whatever, there's probably a lot of local companies around these colleges. Hey, here's $200. Tweet this a little bit or whatever. That's fine.
Absolutely.
But if a Ford comes in or a major top 100 was like, I'm going to give you $2 million, it's possible that they could do that.
No, I'm going to give the offensive line trucks.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sure there's car deals all over the place.
Yeah. The one thing everyone's like, I want a car deal, but they have to remember that that's also. That gift is still, you have to pay taxes on that.
Still taxable.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing. Taxable. There's a lot of people that be like, give me that. But then they're like, wait a minute. I don't have any money to go pay this. Exactly. So I can see how that misses.
Exactly what you guys just listed. That's why we built the Playbook platform. So it's just so these brands can approach athletes directly. And, we're not an agency, so we don't negotiate on behalf of the athletes. We will help be like an intermediary at times. Like there's a company, a dairy company that's trying to do a big campaign, and they're looking for a lot of female athletes that are, that consume dairy these days. I feel like that's becoming more and more of a rarity, but we're just helping kind of find out like, hey, athletes, you like dairy products? Do you like to drink milk? Like, well, we got something for you. They can send offers right through the Playbooked app and everything. But there's a lot of brands that want to work in the space. A lot of people over the first year, They love the idea, but a lot of people were a little tentative. I mean, because it's a brand new space, not a lot of regulations. Everyone thinks it's just like, saloons and 6 shooters and things are flying all over the place. But like I say, it's worked out really well from what we've seen over the past year. We did one of the largest kind of campaigns in this whole space back in October, before our platform was even built. We approached 400 athletes to create content to post content for crypto.com on 2 separate days. They had to post a teaser on a Tuesday and the full-length Matt Damon video on a Thursday. They couldn't even know what the content, they couldn't even see the content until about 30 minutes before they actually had to post it. And we had to orchestrate all those athletes to post at the same time. And that was before we had our automated platform.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been some things have been done in this space.
And there's there from you guys, obviously, to bring those deals and those campaigns, put it together, tell them how to do it. But on the back end, educating these guys on, hey, you have to do this afterwards. Like
exactly
like you said with the cars, like there's taxes coming on that. You know, you've got to give them a heads up.
As soon as they get on the like we have a process when you get on the platform, you create your profile, you finish it out, you fill out your W-9. And once these tasks are completed, you're then eligible to start interacting with the brands. Like that's one of the biggest things. We're not going to do any athletes' taxes for them, but we've got the right partners and everything to help hold their hand to the best of the ability. So it's going to be pretty easy to report come the end of the year.
Yep.
Nice.
Huh. So you did mention something that made me laugh too. You said the boosters used to live in the dark and now they can live in the light. And there's been multiple movies about this, right? I mean, Blue Chip is that. The program is that, right? Like it's like when Alvin Mack is like, you're not going to take that envelope? I'll hold on to that for you. When it's Omar F's character, he's like, there's a $50 bill in here. He's like, yeah, I'll take it. I'll hang on to it. Like that stuff. Does that even happen now? Does like a booster, are they just able to be like, hey, here's $500 for you. Like, appreciate you. You know, and not ask for anything in return?
I guarantee you it's happening. But by everything is like what's going to get reported, what's not. Like we say, there's very little crackdown right now because of the lack of regulations.
Yep.
One of the big things is, you saw one of the very first things that came out in this space was big Michigan State alumni, Matt Ishbia, who runs I can't remember the name of his mortgage company. He tries to compete with Quicken Loans.
Rocket
Mortgages, Quicken Loans. He's got, if he was listening to this,
throw it out there.
Yeah, nice try. Yeah.
But he came about
country home.
Right. And they came about and we're like, hey, we're going to pay every football player and basketball player $500 a month in exchange for Twitter services on, tweeting about our mortgage company every now and again. A lot of people would be like, well, what do these athletes have to do tweeting about mortgage? But once again, I won't say that's not out of, fair market, kind of the fair market value of what it's worth. Michigan State basketball, Michigan State football, 2 premier programs. I think for $500 a month, getting a couple of, the goods, the services is a couple of tweets per month. Yeah, I think they're fulfilling that. But I guarantee you right now, people are still now, being slipped envelopes full of cash and whatnot. But what they're trying to do is just find out what's the legal way we can do this. Yeah. You don't necessarily have to be discreet about it. But everybody still is. We all, outside of the people, like you go to a corner store right now and you see somebody wearing, a Boston College jersey, and you go up and ask them like, hey, what platform do you use to interact with athletes, college athletes? They're going to be like, what the hell do you mean? Like, do you know?
I got this at TJ Maxx.
TJX to you.
Yeah.
We're standing in a Walmart. What do you mean interact with college athletes? And then you can even ask them, like, do you know that college athletes are able to get paid now? Most of the everyday fans will probably be like, yeah, I've heard something of that. So like I don't think from the major like sports consumers mindset or standpoint where they're at, they notice a difference. Unlike us, who's like reading, like people like you guys are in the sports world, we're working with Squad Locker on these collectives. I'm reading every article, we're being quoted, we're being on these podcasts. We know everything that's happening. We know the turmoil where all the conversations are being had. But I don't, you guys ask me, like, you tell me, do you think, does it, like last football season, did it seem like NIL really disrupted the way you consumed the content or watched the sport?
No, it didn't. But I just think it's legal now, just like gambling. Like I still gambled before it was legal, right? Like I just think that now it's just happening, and not disrupting anything. I don't even really notice more advertisements from collegiate athletes or anything like that you might follow, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter or see them wearing, like they're not like on their jersey putting like a Coca-Cola logo on it because they're getting sponsored by Coke. They can't. Like, that's not what's happening.
I mean, look, it's new, and you're not going to know. Look, one, I have no problem with people making money for
Fair market. You keep saying fair market?
No problem with people making money. You also are getting a scholarship at a university, so you're not paying that. So you're getting something. I don't know how it's going to affect it. I don't think it's going to affect anything out on the football field, just because the ultimate goal is to play professional, probably.
Right.
For most of these guys, you're not there yet. You're not done yet. There's
Right.
still one more set. So you still got to work, and then you got to work at the next level to stay there.
Right.
Problem, like, and it's like recruiting could affect some shit.
Just because there's bigger schools that can spend more money, right? And like maybe people do that, but then all of a sudden you get 20 athletes in there and 5 of them play when it's basketball. It's like, well, this guy's just going to transfer.
Yeah, I mean,
transfer portal.
By the way, the transfer portal may be worse than on NIL.
I think you're right. I think the transfer portal is bad.
Wait a minute, it didn't work out for you? No, you can go somewhere else. You can quit and try somewhere else where maybe it's an easier opportunity.
Yeah.
There's collectives being formed right now that are specifically just for the transfer portal. It's being used as like a bait and a gatekeeper at the same time. Like, you come here, you can receive this. If you don't leave, you can receive this. So, I mean, I would agree. If anything is disrupting the way college athletics plays, really is transfer portal. For good or bad, I really haven't like taken a much of a stance on that. But yeah,
you don't need to.
You don't. Yeah. The thing is then this is what it comes down to me too, is like, all right, so these athletes, those big schools can pay more money, but they've always been able to pay more money. They've always had bigger boosters, and they've always been able to attract more. Now it's just like where people are doing it to where we can actually, do a little bit of, claim some stuff and get some tax deductions. So I don't see like too much how I think we just still, we're, like I say, we're in the middle of this thing every day. I think we give it a couple more months, maybe a couple more years, this thing will really start to iron itself out to where it'll be business as usual. Like I even myself, it feels like it's here to stick. I try to get away from everyone's like, oh, you're a nil. It's a nil company. This is an image like this, that, nil that. It's like, well, these are now like that term should probably kind of phase itself out just because it's now just going to be business as usual. You get pro athletes paid. They're one step below pro athletes, but now they have ability to make money. And I'll tell you this from the athlete, we have not come across too many greedy athletes. I'm not going to share exactly what any particular athlete is making, but we've worked with some of the biggest names in college athletics, and they're not being greedy. They're like, nah, I need $1 million. A lot of them have been happy to receive a couple grand for this activation, a couple $100 for this activation. And it's not, everyone's like, oh, well, it's going to make a lot of turmoil in the team if, the quarterback's getting all the money and not the lineman. Well, anybody, like anyone who's been a running back or a quarterback or will probably, who stood behind an offensive line, probably smart to maybe take care of your offensive line since they're the ones to take care of you, which we saw happen at the University of Michigan. I believe it was McCarthy that got a big old deal, and he shared it with his linemen. But with all the athletes we talk to, like no softball player, no field hockey player, volleyball, basketball player, no one's coming complaining, saying like, well, football, basketball is going to make all the money. They're not complaining that because they understand that. They just want to know if there's opportunity for them as well, which is one of the biggest thing we're trying to provide.
Yeah.
And,
I think also, and we've talked about this before, we've talked too, you're going to get those few that are the 1%ers, and maybe they make a little bit more, but college athletics is probably more about those 99%ers.
Right.
Doing the $500 a month.
They're on the same playing field. So, unless you go with like basketball, like the 1%ers, they're there for a year, but you get those teams that have those 4th and 5th year guys, they're going to be able to make a run into the NCAA.
And I was going to ask,
the majority is level.
Yeah. Is there like a wild one that's out there where you're like, this person's in esports, or they're on like on the fencing team or something, like, is there just like one outlier that you're like, how is this so big, and you can't even really say tennis and golf and stuff like that are smaller generally, like, because those people go on to be superstars, and there probably are some pretty big tennis and golf ones that are out there, but is there like some wild outlier that's out there?
Well, I'll tell you, the conversations we have, like e-gaming is one of the hottest topics out there. Like, like when we're on with brands, like no one else is talking. Like the consumer base, the fan base is talking NFTs and things like that. But brands are hot on the trail of anything e-gaming. We're opening up our platform. We've already, altered our platform to accept e-gamers as well. College is already making scholarships for it.
Oh, no way.
So yeah, I mean, it's here to stay, and I'm all for it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of work with it too on Squad Locker because they like to. It reminds us when they're selecting their uniforms and building their uniforms, like in sublimated builders that we have. It's like they're picking a player. You know the thing when you like pick your player, like you're building their uniform.
Yeah.
They're doing that in real life.
The avatar,
they're making their own jersey and they get it. So we've been doing more and more of that. And partnering with companies for it.
That I haven't played video games since I got rid of the NCAA video game, and back then I always had my running back be like 6'10" with a collar on, fully decked out.
You did the shield with the
cowboy collar,
taped ankles, 99 speed,
320 pounds. Yeah,
played for Tennessee. Or you went and you did like Middle Tennessee State. Yeah, and you try to win the national championship and build a dynasty.
Exactly. Yeah, you'd get bored after a while, using with the big team. So you go down and just go as low as you can go and build them up. I think I won a couple of championships with Rice.
Yeah, you see if you can get a 5-star in there, like blue chip in there, like in year 2 or 3. It's tough. That was fun. That was always a good. And you never simulated games either. You got to go pad those stats.
Oh man, all the way around. Yeah. I remember there was a while when this was my lowest of low in gaming, where like if my guy didn't score a 99-yard touchdown on like the first play of the game, I'd start over. I like reboot. My stat.
So you take a knee. You get the kick, and then you take a knee at the one, so you had it.
My stats are ruined.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Hey, I want to ask you about Chloe Mitchell, a co-founder of Playbook, and the first person to monetize on NIL.
I will have to get Chloe on here with you guys. She wanted to be on here today, but she's teaching camps these next 2 weeks. Chloe is fantastic, and honestly, one of the best things that ever I think happened for this company. She was very integral in helping us kind of form everything. Even before we got started with this. I think Keith and I had our first meeting with Ken in like November 2019. Got some of our first funding in May, like around May 2020, and got started kind of in an exploratory phase. And right then and there, Chloe committed to the NCAA to go play volleyball. She wasn't anyone of note, at this point. She was just a regular high school teenager. Just lost her senior prom because COVID quarantine. Mm-hmm. So she's sitting at home and bored as hell. Went into her backyard and started ripping all the lawnmowers out of Keith's shed and turned it into a she shed. And she documented the whole thing in a 5-part series on TikTok. And 3 weeks and nearly 3 million followers later, she was becoming a household name on TikTok. She was known as the DIY girl. Mm-hmm. And she wasn't a DIY person before this. Obviously, she had some talent. She did a good remodel of the shed, but she's quickly become a kind of an expert in renovation over the years. So we're sitting here, we're talking to some big name athletes about like trying to pay some money to like be a spokesperson for us or be on the board. And then Chloe comes along and she now learns that, if she's going to continue doing her TikTok stuff with these 3 million, she was being offered after her first post, a company came and offered her $600 to put a song in the next one. After her third post, they were offering her like 10 grand to include this product. Mm-hmm. Now she's making between like companies like Canon and Ford and are offering between like Fabletics offering between 20 and 40 grand for her projects. And when she started doing all of this, the NCAA at this point, summer 2020, didn't know when NIL was going to become legal. I mean, if you remember the news, it was kind of like in early summer 2021, even from us, people that were following the heartbeat of it were like, it's going to be the SEC come July 1st, just the SEC. And then about a week before, they're like, screw it, everyone's legal. So they couldn't give
COVID really it helped you with that. They were like, we're not going in to vote, so just do it all. Yep.
Yeah, no one's coming in.
Yeah.
So Chloe was like, well, I can't go to the end. It's either I got to go. She's not going pro at volleyball. She wants to get a good education. Just go to college. But so while she was sitting there, a school in the NAIA approached her, was like, little bird saying that NAIA is going to make this legal in October of 2020. Great school, great education. She's got a scholarship. So it's an easy switch for her. She doesn't even have to stop doing her branded content.
Yep.
So to us, she was like the perfect partner, the perfect spokeswoman to help. Not only was she integral in helping design the platform from a young athlete standpoint, but now she is this person with this massive following who's trying to cashing in on it. And I'm like, you represent what NIL is. You make a choice. You made a choice to leave one, massive, the NCAA to go somewhere else because you weighed the odds and ends, and you thought this was best for you. So we saw this, and we saw companies in fall of 2020. We saw companies popping up left and right, and this was going to be a competitive landscape because if not, what are we doing here? It's not the $16 billion industry everyone's talking about if people aren't flocking towards it. But every company was coming up as like, we're not just going to be a platform for the big athletes. We're going to be a platform for all the athletes. Well, at this time, there was 80,000 NAIA athletes available, and none of them really been approached by anybody. So we're like, well, we have Chloe. She's definitely definitely the largest following and influence within the NAIA. So we're like, let's put together a deal for her and see how this really goes. So she went out and right around early Christmas, she DIY'd a putt golf course for her dad, my partner Keith. And we got Bloodline putters to pay for the whole thing. It's this whole putter that you can stand up and it stands up on its own, so you can walk around and aim your shot. Yep. Kind of nifty. And so she did this whole series on how she brought all this material home, DIY putt golf course all around her dad's house, and then surprised him with it. And we put out a press release, and for the first 3 days, we heard nothing. We were like, all right, we guess nobody gives a shit about this. Yeah. But then on that fourth morning, we woke up. I think the only thing that affected it was Christmas shopping. This was probably December 21st or something. We woke up and almost every major publication had picked up the story. I believe Forbes was the first one to break it. Darren Rovell was tweeting. I woke up to all these push notifications, said, meet the first athlete to cash in on NIL. And there's Chloe Mitchell at Aquinas. But Darren Rovell responded Aquinas College. I lost that bet. I believe Jay Billis and Shaq even got in on some of the conversations at one point. And there was just this outreach. We still just had a splash page up, a landing page for our website. And I think we had something near 1,200 athletes reach out. What's this? How can we get involved? The people just were curious. It wasn't direct questions this is what I can bring and what can you bring me? It's just hey, I want to know more. And honestly, that whole little PR coup was kind of all the marketing we needed to do to date. She ended up getting interviewed by Chris Wallace on Fox Sunday, and that brought a lot of stuff. And that whole thing with Chloe really just took off, and it helps. Chloe is such an integral part to what we do here within Playbook, because when we work with brands, we're still on top of just being, we're very much, we manage brand spend, and we push out this large micro nano marketing scale, and we built a platform that can seamlessly manage it to where hundreds of athletes can be creating content all on once with one simple branded message. Mm-hmm. Chloe helps us create those. We built our app around all these different, campaign briefs that brands were sending her. And then we started, so we're like, all right, this is the way it needs. So when a business fills out a business profile, we're basically going to ask the same questions based on the statements that these campaign briefs say. So as businesses fill out on our platform, our sign-up process is actually generating them a campaign brief. We're asking all the right questions. So then we started doing this, and we got this out to a bunch of NAIA athletes. We got started with a couple hundred of them all at once. And then what we saw is the athletes were pumped up, super psyched to be a part of it. And then they saw the brief, they saw the messaging, they're like, we're good to go. But then they'd go to create the content and they'd be like, I don't know where to start. So we started doing this. Chloe would come in on behalf of every brand. She'd start making sample content for us. She'd take it and be like, all right, this is what I would do. Right. So she make it, we upload that into the brief, we push it out through the app. Now every one of these athletes is getting the video, this is what Chloe did. Mimic it, put it in your own voice, and then submit it back for approval. And that changed everything. And so Chloe, on top of her being, her team's volleyball captain, like on top of being running her own DIY brand, she has an office down from mine where she comes in a couple times a week. We meet with her and she helps create this content for us. And now we've extended that offer to, because we have enough brain flow now. We can't always rely on Chloe. We're now even hiring other like people from within the Playbook ranks, athletes that we know are just genius content creators. Pulled a Nebraska volleyball player last night who's going to be helping us create a bunch of content. A guy I love, Jamerick Woods, played at Michigan, then Duke. He helps us create a lot of content. We're a company that wants to hire everyone that works for us. For the most part, is former college athlete. We want to keep employing college athletes. So under the guise of
got your own grassroots campaign now going.
Chloe has 40 million TikTok followers, I think. 40-something million.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's got about 3 million.
Yeah, I think it's 3.
No.
Yes,
I think it was 40.
They may have 40 million views on it.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think it's around 3. It's still a little bit.
Yeah.
It's still a couple more million than
I think
us.
I'm right, by the way.
Yeah, no, she's had some posts with 40 million views.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Maybe.
Yeah, so she won. I don't know if you guys saw that whole thing that happened was like the NIL Summit down in Atlanta. It was like the year where they kind of did like their own SBs style. A couple companies put it on. Chloe won the Innovator of the Year award prior to that campaign. Prior to going and getting dressed up to go down the red carpet and everything, she did this whole TikTok on I don't know if it's weird 3 dudes talking about this, but she's like, DIY your boobs with me, where she took this whole what looked like a complex bra system and basically cut it up and made this whole thing for a stylish dress. And that thing took off within hours. That's what had been one of the biggest things that received most of the content on her TikTok platform.
56 million likes, which likes don't relate to just views. Views are like 10x likes, maybe a 10x likes. So it's a big number. 56
million likes. She's and what's also she makes a lot more money than a lot of people that have equal following to her because she is DIY. Like people follow her for her recommendations.
Yeah, and then those DIY companies are pumping that cash. They use this product. That's because she could come help us do some content. Maybe Max, what do you think? Like we need a little
use some help around the studio too.
To get
Max just got married.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah,
more
we could renovate this place.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, Max.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
So I mean, it's a remarkable space. It's fresh. It's new. Like you
guys are doing it the right way.
I don't want to call it the Wild West because it's not. I get it. I'm with you. It's the Western. Yeah. It's the far and away.
Yeah, it's Western expansion, man.
You're Nicole Kidman.
I'm Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
There you go. Unlocks.
Exactly. Yeah. You're gonna watch that. I might watch that tonight too. That is a good movie.
What's that? I think I say it every time. What does he say? He's like, "Tell me that you like me hot," in his Irish accent.
I haven't seen it all the way through.
That often that I know every line.
The fact that you're quoting it is
all I know is that he has a green flag. And he puts a green flag in the ground. He wanted to be down where the water is. He wanted to get down. Yeah. And at that point, a horse rolls over him and he dies, basically. Yeah. And then he comes back to life. So that's all right. Yeah, we'll watch it tonight. So
you weren't going to put in a spoiler alert there? You could have just
no. We cut the thing and then we put in
I never finished the movie, man. I know how it ends.
When it's been out 20 years, you've had a chance to finish.
Plenty of time.
Okay.
Plenty of time.
That makes sense.
Well, we're gonna be following along because we're doing some work with you and some different stuff with the collectives and everything, and it's cool. And I think it's just it's a booming thing that is super in its infancy, just like how gambling was early and nobody understood it yet, and now you see how massive it is with these companies getting gobbled up. You know, like the Barstools of the world for $400 million, but really probably worth $1 billion. Like it's wild. Yeah. So there's a lot of things going.
Well, tell all your followers, just tell them to go download the Playbooked app and use it to start interacting with their favorite athletes. We need
that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. Could I have 1 year eligibility left, by the way.
Get on it.
So get on it. I have 1 year eligibility. Am I outside the age that I can go play?
No. Didn't J.R. Smith just went back to play golf or something
38.
like that?
I got drafted after my junior year, so I have 1 year eligibility left.
I think you're good
to play.
We might. I think we could get you both on. I mean, like what Cal wants to get. They want to get a couple of their large alumni on. So we're like white labeling the whole platform for these collectives. So they get the app, they get the platform, And like I say, Playbooked proper is the mothership. And I mean, they want to get Marshawn Lynch on so people through the California Legends Collective can do shout outs. And Stephanie Rivera, who sits on the board, wants to get her husband, Ron Rivera, on.
Well, alumni are welcome too.
Yeah, alumni are welcome.
We're just looking for sports fans.
Yeah, all right. So
we're going to take care of everybody.
Yeah, get the sports fans interacting. That's what we need to do.
Yeah,
we need to get them. That's the best way to support your favorite athlete. Video chat with them, get them paid. Video, get a shout out from them. All that jazz. Book a personal appearance at your Buffalo Wild Wings or your
Fairchild coming to Playbooked.
Yeah,
I can't wait to book that video.
There we go.
One person arrives. The Fairchild's going to be at the Warwick CarMax tomorrow at 1 p.m.
It will be the best $50 I've ever spent.
Hey man, money
If
is
you
money.
did that and you put me at the Warwick CarMax, that would be all time. Actually, what a great day
We'll
that
do it
would
during
be.
your lunch hour.
Yeah.
It'll be perfect.
There you go.
Just like people are coming in, like, are you buying a vehicle or are you here to sign something? Or no, just buying a vehicle.
All right. Well, we were going to get to live. We've taken up too much of your time, but I appreciate it, Patrick.
Well, what do you think? Do you like the live thing?
Hey man, I can't be against it.
There's one.
That's what I thought.
I would have said 1,000%. He says.
I knew you were in that camp.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm in the camp too. Get your bag. That's the way I look at it. I think it's funny. Like,
I was out of the camp. I'm in the camp now.
you're in the camp.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm in the camp.
You see that there's big news today coming out with 6 guys going, including and then Faraday's going too. But
That's where. Have you watched a tournament yet? A live tournament?
I don't even know what channel it's on.
Don't know what channel. Here's what, like, you're going to play golf, and if the good guys are going there to play golf, you'll watch. But all I need is, one, the voices, and if Faraday's going, that's a plus.
The voices are key. The voices are key. They tried to do it with that soccer announcer. It didn't work.
But it's also the presentation and actually watching it. Remember what happened to the U.S. Open when Fox had it?
Brutal.
Yeah.
You didn't even want to watch it.
Yep.
So if they don't present the game good, like the PGA does right now, that's where I'll be like, all right, I'm off. I don't care.
CBS does. It's the network too.
They did, but
the network too.
NBC did a good job.
NBC did.
With the Open. NBC did a good job. Fox did an awful job.
Yeah, Fox wasn't good.
They gave away.
Remember the cameramen? Like, I think it was either Fox or whatever. They'd never tracked golf before, so they had no clue where the ball was in the air.
Yeah.
They were just like, where is it? Where is it?
It was at Chambers Bay. It was at Chambers Bay.
Yeah, I remember this.
It was unwatchable.
Well, plus the course was banged
Joe
up.
Buck,
remember the course was brutal.
It was awful.
Yeah.
So
didn't Barkley tweet his way into a job with Liv now?
So he might
Possibly.
be in, but so Cam Smith is most likely going today. Like that's a new one because he just won the Open. But Bubba Watson is on the list. Matsuyama. Stenson's going. He's already gone. Yep.
But
and
now you're getting Faraday too. So now you're pulling some other pieces of the whole package.
What's crazy? You get the Open winner is going. The Masters winner from 2 years ago is going. Matsuyama.
How much do you think Faraday's getting? How much do you think Faraday?
They're just catching a bag.
I mean, they're just throwing money. Faraday.
The money's outrageous.
$57 million.
How much do you think they pay for Jim Nantz?
Oh, this is the thing. When you get to this level of money,
Hello, welcome to the Live Tour.
This is a different amount of money than we can fathom. Like there isn't a cap.
No,
on
there's
this
no
stuff. This is just like we'll just produce some more oil.
Was it Mickelson? There wasn't. Who's the one that got the $200 million off?
Either Mickelson or DJ probably.
DJ got 125 or 150 or something like that. Yeah, I mean Cam Smith's going to catch a bag.
Oh yeah.
Literally, he just won the Open.
He pulled a Joe Flacco. Won the Super Bowl right when free agency.
That's
unrestricted.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So that's crazy.
God damn.
Well,
we'd have to figure out where we can watch because I still haven't. I don't even know how you watch it. I know what's wild too is I didn't realize there's only 8 events. 8 events.
Yeah, I just as we're sitting here, I will look that up. That's right. Well, when you're spending that much money, I don't know. I think we're a little past proof of concept. I mean, they're spending more money on this than I feel like an entire Formula One season. So I figured we might want to spread this out over a couple more events. But
it's 8 events. It's the purse, the overall purse. Remember, there's a lot less people playing.
Yeah.
The overall purse
they're guaranteed
for the 8
like
events
$150,000 just for playing it.
The overall purse is $250 million for those 8 events.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like 10 years on the PGA Tour.
Can we get them to start on a Friday and end on a Sunday? Because I kind of like watching golf Sunday afternoon.
I know. Sunday afternoon is golf. That's a thing. A little nap in there.
If they really want to market that thing well, get the whole Live, the company behind Live Tour to subsidize gas for all Americans.
Yes.
So we'll tune. Yeah, start. You want to know where you can watch Live? You can watch it on the gas station TV while you're getting half off gas prices.
Hey, and if you do, it's free. Gas is free. If you want,
gas is free.
Yeah.
You stay here and you watch this whole thing.
Oh, it's brilliant.
All right, Patrick. Good talking to you, man. I'm sure we'll be doing some more work together. We'll catch you soon.
All right, guys. Thank you so
later.
much. Talk soon.
All right. Bye now.
Past Our Prime is brought to you by Squad Locker. Squad Locker is your one-stop shop for custom team apparel, delivered right to your front door. Learn more by visiting squadlocker.com.